KFGO for a Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group, and he's back in studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Susan Smith, Program Director for Big Brothers Big Sisters, is here in studio. We should say you're actually with the Village Family Service Center, right?
Correct.
Is that like the mom and dad of the Big Brother Big Sister program?
Right. So
Okay.
we are one program of several over at the Village.
Okay. Tell us, I feel like a lot of us kind of anecdotally, even if we haven't been involved, know what Big Brother, Big Sister, what that program is. But why don't you explain it or give us the Cliff's Notes version?
Sure. So, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, like you said, hopefully most people have heard of us. We have been in the Fargo-Moorhead community for 59 years this year. And what we do is a mentoring program for at-risk kids here in the Fargo-Moorhead community. So it's adult volunteers that are working one-on-one with youth, just taking them out, whether it's in the community, to a ball game, out to just a park, to have fun, having those conversations and developing that relationship with youth, serving as a mentor to them. Or we also have a school-based component where it's taking that one-on-one time and meeting with the youth at their school.
Tell us about the youth. Let's start with them. The most important part of this program. How do you identify those littles in your program?
Right. I think I will start with the school-based program first for that.
Okay.
So right now we are partnering with 3 elementary schools in the community. We are partnering with Madison and Jefferson on the Fargo side, and then Robert Asp over in Moorhead. So referrals for youth primarily come from school personnel themselves who identify kids that could really most benefit from having a mentor. So someone who they think just needs some additional adult support in their lives. So that's kind of makes it pretty simple for us.
Yeah.
The school personnel are identifying them. Whereas in our community-based program, our eligibility for that are kids that come from one-parent homes and have limited to no contact with the other parent or any other adult in their lives. They are range in age from 6 to 14 when they're first matched. They can remain in the program until they're 18 or graduate high school. And they have to want to be in the program. We're not going to force them to be in the program. But these are kids that really have very limited adult support in their lives. So they're just really in need of having that extra guidance along their lives. So a lot of kids, they're just lacking that additional support. But some of them are struggling with academics. We're seeing so many more kids these days that have mental health diagnoses, a lot of kids with anxiety and depression, and just need that extra guidance and extra support, somebody to come alongside them.
How many littles do you have in the program right now?
So last year, we served 103 kids in the program. With that said, we have over 80 kids right now on our waiting list. So there is such
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's such a great need. And of those 80, we have 10 right now that are ready to be matched. So, those are kids that could, if we had a volunteer right now, we could get them going right away. There's just such a great need.
Wow.
And
so maybe more important to talk about those bigs because we need them. We need more.
Absolutely.
Okay, who is the perfect candidate to be a big brother or a big sister?
So talking about eligibility, I need to be at least 18 years of age or older, need to live in the FM area. They have to make at least a 1-year commitment to the program. And I know that sounds a little scary. I'm going to make a 1-year commitment to the program, but I tell you, that year goes so quickly.
Oh, I know. School just got over not that long ago, and I was like, how did 9 months go by?
Right,
that was a blink.
Yes. So it does go by quickly. And we ask for that simply because it takes a while for the relationship to form. It's all about that relationship.
Yeah.
And research really shows that matches that last less than 6 months can be more detrimental to a child because it's an adult coming in and then out of their lives again. And we've had kids that's happened to way too many times. So we want to make sure that, it's somebody coming in and stable in their lives, but giving it also that time to form that relationship so that we can see some good benefits and outcomes from that relationship. So we ask for that 1-year commitment, but we're finding that matches last at least an average of over 2 years. And With that said as well, we have matches that have lasted, goodness, we had 7 graduates this year, and the average match length for that was like 8.2 years or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we have matches that last quite a long time as well.
But with that, I mean, obviously you're introducing people to kids. So I know personally your background check is pretty thorough just by having people on my team that have gone through the process. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So we do have a very thorough screening process for volunteers because, child safety is first and foremost for our program. We're here to serve the kids. So when a volunteer inquires, we do background checks on everybody. We also do reference checks, things like that. But we have a pretty thorough interview system as well. Each volunteer goes through an interview process where we ask questions just to learn a lot about them. We want to learn about their background, their experience with kids, their interests, things like that. But we're making a thorough assessment, number one, to make sure that this is something that they're not only interested in doing, but able to do. Are they coachable through the match relationship? So we're making that complete assessment on that individual to make sure that they would be an appropriate person for the program. And then there are also other safeguards that we have in place. Once a match is made, we have a match support specialist that's there and follows the match and checks in with the parent, the child, the volunteer to ensure, number one, is the match meeting regularly, but also are there any safety concerns, things like that. So there are several safety precautions we have in place.
Are you trying to... Is it like matchmaking? Like, that's a weird question, right?
Yeah.
But, like, is it like matchmaking? Like, are you taking the big's personality and the little personality into account when you're trying to make that match, as you're calling it?
So that sounds kind of weird, but yes, in a sense, it is.
Yeah.
Because that is part of what goes into making a match, is looking at the personalities of both of them. But then we also ask preferences that they might have. And we take all of that into consideration, as well as the strengths that the volunteer has and the needs that the child has as well. So it's a whole realm of things.
It is kind of like matchmaking. I like that. Yeah, finding that right fit. When you say a year commitment, let's break that down a little bit more.
Sure.
What does it look like on a weekly or a monthly basis?
Okay. So for our school-based program, it's an hour a week going to the child's school while school is in session. So, of course, summer's off, holidays, off, things like that. So an hour a week, typically over the lunch hours. So you can go and eat lunch with the child, hang out with them, do arts and crafts, sports, board games, whatever that might be. An hour a week. And, who doesn't take an hour off for lunch anyway?
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple, really. For our community program, what that looks like is we say about 2 to 4 hours every other week. A couple hours weekly would be great, for that weekly consistent contact, but people's schedules often don't allow for that, whether it's the big or the little, maybe being in activities as well. So we know schedules don't always match up that well. So that's why we say every other week. And then if they could, maybe do a phone call or text or something in between, that would be great.
We're talking with Susan Smith. She's the program director of Big Brothers Big Sisters. If you missed it at the beginning, they're in need of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They've got the little part covered. You said 80 on the waiting list?
Yeah.
That's a shocking number to me. Hopefully we're inspiring someone to think about it. Neil and I were just talking before we went on the air, and I know several people who are in this program, but then had kids of their own. And so can't make that commitment anymore. So there is like that sweet spot of time before you have kids or an empty nester when this is the perfect program for you to make an impact on your community. We'll talk more with Susan when we come back here on KFGO for a Cause. Welcome back to KFGO for a Cause. Susan Smith is with us, program director of Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Fargo. But as we just said, you cover the Fargo, West Fargo. Is it Moorhead too?
Yes, Moorhead and Dilworth as well.
Oh, okay. Moorhead and Dilworth as well. And a great need for Big Brothers and Big Sisters in the program. You've got the littles covered. You have a waiting list that just keeps getting longer and longer. Can you give us any stories, like success stories that you've really loved? I mean, clearly you have a lot of them when you think about these kids phasing out of the program, and they've been matched with a big for over 8 years on average.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great success, probably for the littles, but for the bigs too.
Oh, yes. Goodness. Well, I think, some of the first stories that come to mind are those that are graduating this year. And to have, 7 graduates this year is just amazing because by the time they get to their teen years, they're so active in things, and sometimes it's harder to get together and to meet. So to stick with the program instead of kind of just going out on their own and kind of we'll see each other when we can is first and foremost really great to see. Mm-hmm. And some of those relationships, they started when they were in the school-based program, when they were in like first, second grade, and now that they went on into middle school and the match transferred into community-based. They made that commitment, and now they're graduating high school. And I think of, one of the matches in particular was a child who had such struggles at home, went through quite a lot, was in foster care for a while, and that big just really stuck with them. And I attribute a lot of the success to where they are today because of the big. And it was somebody who was just really stable, kind of that one stable
It only
piece.
Takes one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something that we forget about too. It only takes one.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes like one really good, trusted adult in a child's life to make a really big impact.
Exactly.
They don't need, we say it takes a village. Sure, it takes a village, but it takes one for each child.
Yeah, everybody remembers as a kid that one person.
Yes.
Whether it's a teacher,
Yeah.
even if it was like a Phi Ed teacher, it's like, oh, that person cared about me, or a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. One person. You said 18 years old is what you need to be big to a 1-year commitment. But as you said, how many of these people are falling off after a year? I have to imagine not a lot, unless there's like circumstances beyond their control. They have to move for a job or something like that.
That's exactly it. Most don't after the year is up because they've
They're
started
attached.
this relationship. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a relationship.
Yeah.
So typically if it's, the closure reasons for that then would be because something changed in the volunteer's life, whether it was a job or a move, or maybe the child moved, or something like that. So some kind of other circumstance.
We should also talk about the fact that you are the only Big Brothers, Big Sisters program in North Dakota.
That is right. Yes. So we are the only official Big Brothers Big Sisters agency in the state of North Dakota.
Sure, there might be others like doing a version of this, but
Correct.
you're the only sanctioned.
Correct. So there are other mentoring programs, throughout the state, of course, but we are the only Big Brothers Big Sisters agency that's affiliated with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America and follow the standards and procedures and have that history and all the research and the years of longevity associated. So, yes.
Do you give Big Brothers and Big Sisters ideas of what to do?
Certainly.
Like, what if you're like, I don't know what to do with this kid. Like, I want to hang out with them, but I don't know what to do.
Yes. So, school based is a little easier because, it's structured. They're at the site, and we have a cabinet full of board games and craft supplies and sports equipment and things like that for them to do. But out in the community for our community-based program, we have a handout that we give them at the time of the match, like 101 things to do, and the other questions like of things that they might want to talk about and do together. When they first meet, we often say, take this sheet and kind of like discuss and kind of brainstorm some things you might want to do. But each match has a match support specialist that they're assigned. So that person checks in with them on a set schedule. So at least once a month, they're checking in with them for the first year. And then after that time, it's not quite as much, but they consistently check in with them. So the parent, the volunteer, the child, to ensure a lot of things. But one of them, is to see if the volunteer has questions. And that could be like, what's going on in the community or what, I'm struggling with this. And it could be activity ideas. So they can help walk them through some of that. We also have a peer sharing page on a Facebook group. So we kind of struggle with that with volunteers to kind of add to that. But it's an opportunity we thought for volunteers to say, hey, I took my little to this or I did that. And it's kind of a way to share some ideas as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine, like, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing with my kids this week?
Yes, right?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I was thinking the 101 thing would be great.
right.
As
I
a
was
dad,
like,
I'm
can I have that?
Yes. Yeah.
Because sometimes you do, like, sort of run out of ideas, but you want something new for yourself, for them.
Right.
Is it, when we talk about the mentor piece of it, how much of it is friendship and how much of it is mentored? Is that a weird question?
I think I get what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
With any relationship, it's going to take a while to build that trust, number one. And it starts out as that friendship, but as that friendship grows, it's building that trust. And when that trust builds, you become someone that youth is going to look up to and see you as someone that they can then depend on and probably seeks advice from and so forth. And I think that's when it then turns into more of that mentoring piece of it. So they're going to trust you with some questions that maybe they feel they can't ask another adult, maybe even ask mom about.
Yeah.
That's happened. And of course, we want the volunteers to partner with the parents as well. But they can seek advice and really turn to them with things that are bothering them and have some really meaningful conversations. And that's what a lot of the growth and outcomes are about.
I love that. I mean, I say that to even my friends. I'm like, I'm going to make your kids trust me. So they're going to tell me all the stuff. Like, you're going to be totally cut out, but it's good. Like, I want that, you know what I mean? Like, I want my kids to have that trusted person outside of me.
Right.
I want other people's children to have that. It's so important to have that other adult, that other trusted person that you can go to. You don't always want to talk to your mom and dad, right?
And it's not cutting mom out.
No,
it's having
absolutely
that
not.
Additional support.
Yes, yeah. Who mom knows that they can rely on too. Like, that's an important piece of it. This is peace of mind for those parents who are putting their kids in these programs.
Right.
That's an important piece. I mean, just as a mom, I think of that and I'm like, yes, I want a trusted person for my kid to talk to.
Exactly.
For sure. Susan Smith, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the process to become a Big Brother, Big Sister? How long does that take, and how can they get in touch with you?
So the easiest way would be to go to our website, which is bbbsfargo.org. And on there, they can find all sorts of information about the program, including a way to inquire and start the application process. So basically, when somebody inquires, we'll contact them and just go through the program eligibility, kind of a brief orientation to the program. And if they really wish to get involved, we will then schedule an interview probably a couple weeks out, which will give them time to complete the online application. There's pre-match training online that they also complete, so that gives them some time at their leisure to be able to do those things. They can start and stop the training at any time. It takes about an hour to do, but they can do that at their leisure. So once that's done and we do the interview, then on the back end, we're doing the things like the background checks, the reference checks, things like that, and gathering that information. So depending on how long that takes to get in, and sometimes something might get held up like a reference check, it could take a couple weeks maybe. So ideally, that would be a month, month's time.
And summer's a really important time. You know, actually, we've heard this on this show from every organization that, like, summer is a slow month. Places that take donations need more donations in the summer. Donations drop off, food donations drop off, blood donations drop off. Volunteer efforts for making meals at the Ronald McDonald House drops off. I mean, literally, you can't find a nonprofit who is, turning away help in the summer. And that would be the same for your program.
Oh, absolutely. Summer, it was interesting. We had a staff meeting this week, Amy, and we know summer is here because we're starting to get more calls from parents saying, wanting to enroll their kids, and school's out, and it's kind of like, my kids need help right now. They need somebody.
Yeah.
And Likewise, our phone is not ringing, and we're not getting the online applications from volunteers because summer's here. We're not thinking about that kind of thing.
Right.
So, yes. We need
Needed,
volunteers,
much needed.
particularly men. We have so many boys on the list, so we need guys to inquire.
Okay, men. That's your call to action on this KFGO for a cause. Susan Smith has been with us, Program Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And Neil, we'll see you in a week.
Sounds good.